From advanced radar networks to interceptor missiles, Israel has built one of the most sophisticated missile defense systems in the world. But the question is, can those systems stop everything? As tensions in the Middle East continue to rise, one question keeps coming up again and again. How does Israel defend itself against such large numbers of missiles and drones? Over the past 2 decades, Israel has built one of the most advanced missile defense systems in the world. These systems were designed specifically to protect the country from rockets, ballistic missiles, and drone attacks coming from multiple directions. The reason for this heavy investment is simple. Israel is a relatively small country geographically. This means that even a single missile strike can potentially reach major cities within minutes. Because of this threat, Israeli engineers and defense experts focused on creating a layered defense system. A layered defense means that different systems are used to stop different kinds of threats at different distances. The most famous of these systems is known as the Iron Dome. The Iron Dome was developed to intercept short-range rockets and artillery shells. It became operational in 2011 and has since been used many times during regional conflicts. The way the Iron Dome works is surprisingly complex. First, powerful radar systems detect an incoming rocket or missile. The system quickly calculates the trajectory of the object. Then it determines whether the rocket will land in an open area or a populated location. If the rocket is predicted to land in an empty field, the system may choose not to intercept it. But if it is heading toward a city, town, or important infrastructure, an interceptor missile is launched. Within seconds, the interceptor moves toward the incoming rocket and destroys it in the air. This interception often creates the bright flashes seen in many videos during missile attacks. However, the Iron Dome is only one layer of Israel's defense network. For longer-range threats, Israel uses another system known as David's Sling. David's Sling was designed to intercept medium-range missiles and more advanced threats. It fills the gap between the Iron Dome and higher-altitude defense systems. This system uses highly advanced radar tracking and precision interceptors to destroy incoming missiles before they reach their targets. But what about ballistic missiles that travel extremely high and fast? For those threats, Israel relies on the Arrow missile defense system. The Arrow system is specifically designed to intercept long-range ballistic missiles while they are still high in the atmosphere. In some cases, interceptions can even occur outside the Earth's atmosphere. This creates another layer of protection before the missile gets close to populated areas. Together, these systems form a defensive shield covering different ranges and altitudes. Military experts often describe Israel's defense as a multi-layered security umbrella. But despite these advanced systems, defending against large-scale missile attacks is extremely difficult. One major challenge is the sheer number of projectiles that can be launched during a conflict. If hundreds of rockets, missiles, and drones are launched at the same time, even advanced systems can become overwhelmed. This is why countries like Iran sometimes rely on large coordinated attacks. By launching many weapons simultaneously, they hope that at least some will get through the defenses. Another challenge is cost. Interceptor missiles are extremely expensive. Each defensive missile can cost tens of thousands, or even hundreds of thousands, of dollars. In contrast, some rockets or drones used by attackers may cost only a fraction of that price. This creates what analysts call an economic imbalance in modern warfare. Defending against cheap weapons can become extremely costly. To address this problem, Israel is also developing new technologies. One of the most talked about future systems is laser-based defense. Laser weapons could potentially destroy drones or rockets using focused energy beams. If successful, such systems could reduce the cost of interceptions dramatically. Instead of launching expensive missiles, a laser could neutralize threats almost instantly. However, these technologies are still being developed and tested. For now, missile interception systems remain the primary method of defense. During the recent escalation, these systems were reportedly activated multiple times. Radar stations monitored the skies continuously. Air defense crews worked around the clock. Interceptors were launched to destroy incoming threats before they could reach their targets. Videos shared online showed dramatic flashes in the night sky as defensive missiles intercepted incoming projectiles. For civilians watching from the ground, these moments can be both reassuring and frightening. Reassuring because the defense systems are working. Frightening because they are reminders of the very real dangers in the region. Despite the technology involved, every interception is ultimately about protecting human lives. Homes, families, cities, And the reality is that no defense system is perfect. Even the most advanced systems can sometimes miss a target. This is why military planners constantly update strategies and technologies. Because in modern warfare, the balance between attack and defense is always evolving. And as both sides continue to improve their capabilities, the stakes grow higher. So the big question now is this: if the conflict continues, will these defense systems be enough to prevent widespread damage? Or will the scale of attacks eventually push these systems to their limits? In the final part of this video, we will explore the global consequences of this conflict. From rising oil prices to international diplomacy, the impact of this crisis is already being felt far beyond the Middle East. And the world is watching closely to see what happens next. As the conflict between Iran, Israel, and their allies continues to unfold, the impact is no longer limited to the Middle East. The entire world is watching closely. Whenever tensions rise in this region, the consequences can quickly spread across global markets, international politics, and energy supply chains. One of the first areas affected by such conflicts is the global oil market. The Middle East produces a significant portion of the world's oil. Major shipping routes, including the Strait of Hormuz, are critical for transporting energy supplies to different parts of the world. If tensions escalate near these routes, even the possibility of disruption can cause major reactions in global markets. Oil prices can rise rapidly as traders worry about supply shortages. Higher oil prices affect transportation, electricity generation, and the cost of goods worldwide. In simple terms, a conflict in one region can increase living costs for millions of people across the globe. But energy markets are only one part of the story. Financial markets also react strongly to geopolitical uncertainty. Investors often move their money away from risky assets and towards safer investments when conflicts begin to escalate. Stock markets may become unstable. Currencies can fluctuate rapidly. Governments and central banks begin monitoring the situation closely. Another important dimension of this crisis is diplomacy. Countries around the world have called for restraint and de-escalation. International organizations are urging both sides to avoid further military actions that could trigger a wider war. Diplomats are working behind the scenes to open communication channels and reduce tensions. However, diplomacy becomes extremely challenging once military strikes have already begun. Each side wants to maintain its strategic position. No government wants to appear weak in front of its domestic audience or international rivals. This creates a delicate balance between showing strength and avoiding full-scale war. Another concern is the involvement of other regional powers. The Middle East is a complex region with many alliances and rivalries. If the conflict spreads, more countries could become directly or indirectly involved. Military bases across the region have already increased their alert levels. Naval forces are monitoring shipping lanes. Air defense systems are active in multiple countries. All of these developments indicate how seriously governments are taking the situation. At the same time, global leaders are aware that a large-scale war in the Middle East would have devastating consequences, not only for the region itself, but for the entire world. Modern warfare involves advanced weapons, cyber operations, and economic pressure. A prolonged conflict could disrupt trade routes, energy supplies, and global stability. This is why many experts are asking a critical question. Will the current escalation remain limited? Or could it expand into something much larger? History shows that many conflicts begin with limited objectives. But unexpected incidents can quickly change the situation. A single miscalculation, a mistaken strike, or an unintended escalation can trigger reactions that are difficult to control. Military planners understand this risk very well. That is why both sides often try to send signals through their actions. Sometimes those signals are meant to show strength. Sometimes they are meant to warn the other side not to cross certain lines. Understanding these signals is an important part of international strategy. For ordinary people watching the news, these developments can feel distant. But in reality, global conflicts affect everyone in different ways. From fuel prices to international travel, from economic stability to political relations. The ripple effects can reach every corner of the world. For now, the situation remains uncertain. Military forces remain on high alert. Diplomatic efforts continue behind closed doors. And analysts around the world are studying every new development carefully. Because the decisions made in the coming days and weeks could shape the future of the region. And perhaps even influence global stability for years to come. For now, the world waits. Watching. Analyzing. and hoping that tensions will eventually move toward diplomacy rather than deeper conflict. Because in a world connected by trade, technology, and shared challenges, peace is always the outcome that benefits everyone.